good morning, or good evening, or good afternoon, or good night. How you doing? And welcome back to the reading room for another edition of AIMBOT. Am I morally bankrupt or them? Now, good morning, Jedi. Always good to see you. You are number one straight off the bat. I can see that in my little thing here. So yeah, hopefully you'll keep that number one crown. I have mixed feelings about the what is it called, top fans thing. I feel like so how do I feel about the top fans thing that's come in? And you can probably see that in the chat kind of thing. Whoever has the crown is the one that's talked the most. I don't know. I don't feel like that would improve the quality of the chat, just the quantity of the chat. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't actually, I would rather have people contributing with what they feel is right and wrong, what they feel is good, rather than just trying to get the crown by sheer volume. I don't know how it works that much, but I feel like maybe I don't know, some contribution that sort of I get that they're trying to improve a lot of super chats and things like that, but yeah, live chat messages, I can see quantity just being improved at the cost of quality, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm just bitching. Hey, Tilting Windmill, good to see you. Jason Freer, good to see you as well. So good to see you. Yeah. So as an Australian, we kind of have this thing of, well, we get up this morning, just because it's only top three, no matter how many. Yeah. Right. And you can imagine some people will want that crown, and just sort of spam. So, um, I don't know. I don't know. I get it's to encourage live chat. I like that. Let's encourage people to be able to speak their mind in chat and say whatever they want to say. But at the same time, oh boy, some people are gonna spam the chat just for a chance at that coveted E crown, because well, Australia, you sort of get up and you go, okay, what dumb crap has happened in the US today? Like, because you're getting up at nighttime in the US, it's like, okay, get up, check the news for what stupid crap has happened today. And I have to thank Jess for making me aware of that. Yeah, thank you, Jess. So apparently an Australian reporter has been shot with a rubber bullet. That's the big thing. And I feel like it wouldn't be so much of a big news if she wasn't such an attractive woman. But that's just my personal interpretation. Give me 1 second. I'll just share this with you, because this has got Australia is absolutely furious about this. Like, don't mistake it. We're absolutely furious about this. And I'll show you the footage first off.
Standing off this situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
You just shut the fuck up. You okay?
I'm good.
Okay, so that's basically what happened, and you can see the guy with the gun, and he's using I believe they're rubber bullets. I doubt it was a pepper bullet, because there wasn't enough sort of stuff go out. Usually with pepper bullets, you'll see some mist or something go out. Um, Look, it was a shock. Like, it was just a rubber bullet. You know, the and she kind of is reflect. No, she didn't require surgery. She didn't. No. But this isn't the only person being shot like this. This is not a New York Post reporter was shot as well with rubber bullets, and I'll show you that one as well if I can get organized here, which I obviously can't, because um where is it? There it is. So I'll show you this one as well, because if I had a producer, I'd be like, roll the clip, roll the clip. Yeah, and he had a... This is the guy that required surgery, basically. So I think people are confusing the two. He had to go to hospital because they shot him right in the head. And as you can see, like, it did a lot of damage to his head. So she probably just ended up with bruises. But what you can sort of see here is this guy behind him almost directs him to shoot for reporters. So this guy seems like somebody of authority. Like, it seems like they are targeting reporters. Like the guy actually comes up, see what I mean, and sort of says, hey, if there's, you know, this is pure speculation. Okay, I don't know this for fact. I don't know this as fact, but it seems like this guy comes up, says something to him, and then he walks away to say, hey, this wasn't me. It's got nothing to do with me. But Happy here, Trigger Happy here, then goes and takes a shot. So, you know, from my opinion is that they're actually intentionally targeting reporters. That they're actually firing at these people to stop them from filming what they're doing. Like, it seems like they do not want them to actually have footage of what's going on. Now, in a traditionally Australian kind of thing, the Australian reporter is completely unfazed by this, but she is a bit put out that she isn't allowed to do her job, which is kind of a very Australian thing to do, to be honest with you. I wanna share this one. So this is God, I really dislike Karl Stefanovic. He's one of the main anchors here in Australia, and I to be honest with you, I think he's a bit of a tool. You know, I don't know why we're taking him as this serious reporter. He's really more a talking head. But, you know, aside from Karl Stefanovic being a bit of an idiot, she's got sort of this to say.
Fear grace, frankly.
Lauren, you're going to be part of this story now ongoing. Do you have any reservations?
I mean, I think that it's so important that, you know, journalists are out there doing our job, and we've got to keep on doing that. It's, you know, no journalist wants to be the story. And certainly I hope that, you know, we can move on from that and, you know, focus what is unfolding, you know, throughout America. It's a really tense situation at the moment. The sense on the ground is so tense. And, you know, I just want to move on, and I will get back out there and keep on reporting it.
All right.
Yeah, she's going to be back out there. You hero, you champ, absolutely. You know, the typical Australian. Yeah, okay, it happened. Get on with it. Got to get out there and do my job. Good on you. Good on you, Lauren. Yeah, I think her name was Lauren, wasn't it? Lauren something. I can't remember her name. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, Lauren Tomasi. Good on you, Lauren. Get back out there. Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, you know, this is what they don't want. They want you know, people to be scared. She ain't scared. You can't scare an Australian with a rubber bullet. She's more embarrassed that she did a bit of a squeal, to be honest with you, and she doesn't want to be part of the story. Fair enough. She doesn't want to be part of the story. Fair enough. But this is an Australian thing. Okay, yeah. You take a slip, you take a fall, you get back up, you go out there, you do your job. Yeah, no, I agree, Jess. I agree. Karl Stefanovic is a TV presenter. Yeah, it's very weird to see the guy who sort of, I mean, don't get me wrong, he tools around on the morning shows. You know, he's kind of like a morning show guy. It's kind of weird to see him present serious news when, you know, he's kind of a bit of a, you know, a morning show guy that does the puppy show, you know, journalism and things like that. But they use who they got, and this sort of, you know, obviously this happened during the night in Australia, so it's daytime in America is nighttime in Australia. So, you know, we get up, we've got this massive story about a cop purposely targeting a journalist to get rid of them. And, you know, it's an international journalist. If you don't remember, some journalists were accosted by there was another protest in Trump's first term where journalists were beaten by cops in a protest. So they seem to have this thing about foreign journalists in protest. All that's come up is the other one, but that was in the there was another one where they were basically attacked, sort of hit with truncheons by cops, and it was really nasty. I don't think it's any surprise that in the in the time in between Trump's things, we haven't had any of this stuff happening. And as soon as Trump comes back, there's these horrendous attacks on media, because when you have the rhetoric that the media is the enemy of the people, it really does filter down through the ranks to these ordinary cops who are like, this cop obviously, and that guy before, if you didn't see it, like, it's almost like his supervisor came over and said, listen, you've got to hit these people. Now, I don't know that as a fact. That is my opinion, but that's the way it looks to me. Especially as the guy scuttled away afterwards, like he didn't want to be blamed for any of it. Pretty gross. But I do want to show you what the White House is saying, which is sort of this horrible thing. And it's to do with the No Kings protest, the protest against his sort of I think it's June the 14th. Yeah, June the 14th, or the 15th for me, I guess. Well, I guess it's the same day. So that is sort of in about 3 days' time. This is what Trump sort of had to say.
We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protester who wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but, this is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force.
Okay, so first off, I think it's absolute bullshit that he hasn't heard of any protest. Like, how can you be saying, hey, if anyone protests it, you're going to be met with very heavy force, and not be aware of any protest that may be going on? That's ridiculous. That's insane. That does not make any sense whatsoever. I bet he has. I bet he has heard that the No Kings protest is going to be happening on the same day as his birthday, on the same day as the Flag Day, the anniversary of the Army in America, and he is doing something unprecedented, which is to have a politicized military parade to establish himself as a dictator, in my opinion. He's basically doing it as a show of force. There is a larger force, and that is the ability for people to protest. So I would encourage you to get out there. This whole thing about, it's going to be a very heavy response, it's going to be a strong response, it's just to scare people from not doing what it is. The whole thing is that there is nothing they can do about people peacefully protesting en masse. Like, if you get everybody out there is literally nothing they can do. There is no amount of pepper spray, there's no amount of tear gas, there is no amount of anything that can stop the people when they are united in something. And your right to peacefully protest is protected by the Constitution of America. It's one of the amazing things about the Constitution of America. If you want to peacefully protest, you have the right to do so. That is how you, sort of say your voice. So if you want to protect the Constitution, you exercise it. You go out there and show that you have that right, and nothing can take it away. It doesn't matter what they think they can do. There is nothing they can do if the will of the people decides that something is right or wrong. There is nothing that they can do, especially as you have a legal right to do so. Yep, no, Big Bad Mama, hello, good to see you. I'll say some hellos to people coming in. I said Tilting Windmill, Jessica, hello. Andrew, aimbot time. Yeah, I'm just going through, I have these sort of rants at the start. We're talking about the CNN journalist. Yes, I did see that one briefly, that a CNN journalist was basically detained, not arrested, but detained, and then told to leave the area, which, there's definitely and good to see you, Tori. It's a really good point. I'll try and find it. But a CNN reporter was sort of told that they had to leave the area and not come back. And it seems that they were detained but not arrested. I'll see if I can find it. Probably CNN would be the place to look, because of course they'll do something on it. So yeah, here we go. So the reporters in any democracy, having a reporter there as a neutral party, and I know that Australian reporter, she was not on the side of the protesters, she was not on the side of the police, she was just reporting on what was happening on the scene, as all good reporters should do. They're not trying to make it seem like the people are the ones on the right, not sort of trying to make it seem like it's the police's fault, not trying to make it seem like it's the crowd's fault, just reporting on what's happening. Okay.
Zip ties, but they did grab both of my hands as I was escorted over to the side. They said, "You are being detained while we lead you out of this area. You are not allowed to be in this area." So they took me over to the side. They took down my name. They asked me where I was from. They get your basic information. And I said, "Am I being arrested?" He said, "No, you're not being arrested. You're being detained." And so there's that. As press, these are some of the things that you take a lot of risks as press. This is low on that sort of scale of risks, but it is something that I wasn't expecting, simply because we've been out here all day. I've covered any number of protests, and normally there's the officers put the press, realize that the press is there doing a job, so to speak. And again, this is what happened. It did not last long. Felt a little longer than what it was, but there you have it. But we are now outside the perimeter, and the protest, at least at this point, is being concluded, getting back to the reason why we're here and reporting on why we were here. They're making a number of arrests of those demonstrators who were left, about a couple of dozen or so. They had put out the announcement that anyone who was still here would be put under arrest for failure to disperse. And so at that point, that's when they took those demonstrators into custody, after they had sort of boxed them in. But at one point we did ask, hey, can we get outside this perimeter so we can get a better shot? We were denied and told that we were not allowed to leave. And so at that point, as I told you before it happened, we would sort of play it by ear, and that's how it went down.
Yeah. So basically, they were rounding up all of all of the people that was still there, but it's really unreasonable for them to say, "Hey, you're not allowed outside the area," and when they're still there, they don't say, "Hey, we want you to move along." Right? So you would think that ordinarily the police department, when journalists are in an area and they need to secure that area or they believe it's dangerous for them, they would say, "Hey, move along. Like you've got to go somewhere else. This area isn't safe, or we need to do certain work in this area. You do need to move along." That's reasonable. Just sort of detaining them for being there doing their jobs without any warning whatsoever is so weird. It's so heavy-handed and authoritarian. It's terrible. And I mean any news. I'm not a fan of Fox News, but if that happened to Fox News, I'd be like, yeah, if you know, a city did that to Fox News, be like, that is heavy-handed. Why not ask them to move first? They're not there as protesters, basically trying to establish their, in conflict with law enforcement. They are there as neutral observers. Asking them to move along is perfectly reasonable. Especially if the area is not safe or the police cannot ensure their safety. That's fair enough. But reporters have a sort of duty to report without, bias about what's happening on the ground. And this seems like it is a attempt to intimidate reporters. But I think it's interesting that the Trump is basically saying, hey, don't protest, don't show up to protest. Now, the Australian in me, if my government said that, the very first thing I'd be doing is out there protesting. Right? If your government says don't do this thing that you have a legal right to do, the right to assembly and the right to protest, I'm out there doing it the next day, quite frankly. I am out there doing it. Because these protesters, as long as they're peaceful protests, they do have a right to be there. They have a constitutional right to be there. You have a right to exercise your First Amendment, your ability to assemble and protest the government is a right that has been enshrined again and again and again in democracy because it is so important. It is incredibly important. Vortex Alpha, I don't mind talking about it. I'm just doing something at the moment, but it'll be interesting to see where your morals lie. I think that morals have been taken from a lot of different backgrounds. I mean, we base a lot of our morals on not just Christianity, but there's stuff coming from, say, ancient Greek ideas of right and wrong. There's stuff brought from secular humanist ideas of what's right and wrong. There are things that the theistic morality has been absolutely atrocious about. Do see my debate that I recently did on Raging Tomato against secular humanism versus Christianity. You'll see that there's Christianity has not had a good track record when it comes to morality, unless of course you want to say that it was moral to say ban condoms in Africa, saying that they caused AIDS, as the Vatican did. The papacy did that. If you want to say that all of the people that had their crimes covered up in the churches by the priests and the higher ups was moral, that's Christianity. That wasn't us. Like, I don't know where you get this idea that we've stolen morality from something. I think morality is something that humans have wrestled with as time goes on. It's a constantly updating thing that we say, hey, what's best for people? How can we take care of people? And the church does not have a good track record of that. Churches in general, because it sort of, it is a assertion of authority, and the things done in the name of that authority have been horrendous. So no, it doesn't steal any morality from a theistic worldview. No, it doesn't. Sorry, because there is no theist. Look, So you've got to separate I'm not saying they're not biased. CNN is not biased. I'm saying that, hey, the journalists are there to get unbiased reporting. Now, what the network does with that is a completely different story. I'm talking not about the media company, but rather the ground, on the ground journalists. Like, they will just point cameras and tell people what they're seeing. Now, what the company does with that is a completely another story. But it's the job of the journalist to provide unbiased, objective reporting on what is happening. And I grant you, there is bias in the media, yeah, but that's not the job of the journalist. They're there to provide unbiased reporting. And if they are biased, yeah, I oppose that. But what bias is some random Australian girl out in the woman out there on the front lines just saying, hey, this is what's happening? What bias does she have? I mean, she's just an Aussie saying what's happening in front of her. And I get you that those riots are not peaceful, but there are peaceful protests happening that, you cannot conflate people rioting, sort of around the edges with a peaceful protest, because there are peaceful protesters out there. They don't sort of, it's less sensational though. That's the problem. That it's more sensationalist and more exciting to give these rioters and these people doing non-peaceful protests than it is to show just the peaceful protests in LA, because there are peaceful protests in LA. It is mostly peaceful. Where's I'll grab a live stream. Just what's first? Associated Press. This is a live stream. Just people marching. The people's just marching. Look. Are these rioters? This is what you're not being shown, that mostly it's just people. Like, is the girl with the pink sweater? She a rioter? Okay, now hear how they're being cheered on by the people. Okay, that's a live stream, right? That's just a random live stream. This is not like mass riots and them burning down the city. What happens is that they go in heavy-handed. They start attacking these people, and part of me, in my opinion, that's exactly what he wants. He wants to attack them, wants them to respond. But what do you do when you have a right to do this and it's being taken away from you? What do you do? Well, people respond badly. That's what happens. People do respond badly. Hi, Joe. Good to see you. And you, it's good to see you, mate. It really is. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Hey, David's good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, and actually the New York Post one is one that I think is even more egregious. As it's like, to me, it looks like someone of authority has come up and told him to target reporters, in my opinion. So if it was me, I would, this warning that Trump's given on, you're going to be met with heavy force if you protest. That I feel like protesting over here. Like, when someone says, hey, you have a right to protest, but you're going to be met with heavy, how heavy force do you think you can summon up against that many people? Like, I feel like protesting myself over here. Like, I really do, just because someone's trying to stop me from protesting. As soon as you say, like, I over here, if you do a large protest, they just basically go, look, have at it. We don't want that noise. Like, seriously. The police will be around. They'll basically just keep people from, they'll just be observing, basically. There's no way Australians can be stopped when they protest. You don't even try. Like, there's no way. The police force will never be able to handle, 1 million people protesting. It just doesn't fucking happen. The Australians we're gonna protest. If the Prime Minister came out and said, hey, we're gonna meet you with heavy resistance if you protest, mate, you would see everybody out there. And that's the way it should be. The government can make declarations all they want about how it's going to be responded with. They can't stop you, and it's your right to do so. But it is really good to see, Joe. Oh, Joe, I gotta run your thing, mate. But there's also another protest I want to mention that is coming up, which is the Ark Encounter protest. Look, I want to go over there and protest myself. Look, I'd probably be deported. It's definitely a possibility. But someone tells me I shouldn't protest, I'm out there instantly. Like, I am absolutely out there. So if you can get to a protest on the 14th of June, definitely do it, in my opinion. Just get out there. They're kind of, oh, well, it's going to be met with heavy-handed. How heavy-handed can they be? Like, seriously, it's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be that bad. Like, what are they going to do if 1 million people come out on the street? And the only way to hold your rights is to damn well exercise them. And that especially goes for the First Amendment. It definitely goes for the First Amendment. Let's see. There we go. I'll just get it on screen and make it full screen. Okay. Whoops, I cannot find my thing. There it is. Okay. Yeah, it's a great ad. I really like it. Okay. Well, you brought up the Australians that had COVID camps and gave up their guns. So I think you've been sort of lied to with information there. We didn't have COVID camps, we had lockdowns. And basically what happened is that we, especially in my state, we cut our states off from state travel. So you had to stay within your own state, and you had to basically stay indoors, not go into work unless you're essential personnel. There was a whole bunch of stuff that we did in order to not spread this virus. And gave up their guns. Yeah. So like Jim and Skidam, like, welcome, but let's talk about it. I mean, do you really want to know the truth about what's happened? Because people that aren't here won't tell you the truth. We essentially, so let me tell you what my state did when this thing happened. The Premier, Mark McGowan, set up a strategic centre, basically a command centre for addressing it, and came up with these things we did to challenge it. Now, the amount of people that died in Western Australia through COVID was so much lower than everything everywhere else. Like you have to see the results before you can say if it worked or not, right? We had like from as of now we had like 1,536 deaths. Okay, 1,536 deaths. Okay. That's how many deaths we had in this entire thing. Do you want to measure that with a state in the US, where it got to hundreds of thousands? Like, and Australia had something like 13 mass shootings before the gun buyback, and it wasn't a ban. It wasn't just there are no guns. There was just very strict regulations on them, right? So we basically had a buyback scheme where the government just bought your guns from you, and you needed licensing. Like farmers and stuff still have guns, but it's only people that it's absolutely necessary for them to have. There's no assault rifles or anything like that, right? You can still have, like, if you need it for your farm, you can still have shotguns and things, but basically it's only, and people can still go shooting. It's just that you can't have these overpowered guns. That's for military use only. It's very, very sensible. There was 13 mass shootings before that ban was implemented. In the time past that, in the last sort of 10 years before the 1996 gun ban, there was 13 mass shootings that occurred, right? 13 in 10 years. Afterwards, there was zero since. We have not had a mass shooting since 1996. Not one. Not a single one. Now, you may call that a coincidence, but it doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem to be. It seems to be that this regulations, we don't have to teach our kids how to survive a school shooting because they don't happen. They do not happen. Like, if you want to call that complacency, I don't know. Like, if you want to call that complacency, fine, but I'd rather not be teaching our kids how to survive a school shooting, and rather have our thing like, well, don't change the subject. Here's the thing. This is what always happens. I bring up good points, and it's, oh, well, what about this other thing? No. Let's get back to the thing at the start of the game. Okay, let's get back to it. Right? Like, you can't bring something up, have me sort of make a good couple of points, and then sort of go, oh, well, let's go off to something else. Subject is being well armed, yes, and you have way higher chance of basically hurting one of your own family than you do of hurting anybody else. Happens all the time. All the time. You know, your daughter's coming back from a wild night. She's been out, didn't tell you, broke out, coming in the window, gets shot. Happens all the time. And, you know, Australia, you must be insane if you want to invade Australia. Are there any population centers? You mean cities? Yes, I live in a city. I live in a city, yes. Yes. I don't know why you think there wouldn't be cities in Australia. Protecting your families from invading occupiers? Are you out of your mind? Who is invading us? This is the problem with the American system. They make you so scared of everything around you. You're so scared. Australians aren't scared. Who's going to invade us? Like, I don't think you understand. No one's invading us. We have a military. We have some of the most inhospitable terrain you have ever seen, and our military loves that terrain. Our entire country prevents invasion. Like, if you want to move a military force down Australia, you need so much resources, and you're going to be fought every step of the way by an army that has specialized, absolutely focused guerrilla tactics and desert/jungle warfare, as well as just the environment is going to be fighting you, as well as the people going to be fighting. Nobody wants to invade Australia. It's a death sentence. It's an absolute death sentence. Like, watch a few things on why Australia isn't worried about being invaded. And if, you know, like, who's invading America? Like, they've got the most powerful military in the world. Their military is more powerful than the next 5 countries, most of which were its allies, but maybe not anymore. You know, why? Why? The trick isn't to, like, have everybody bristling to the teeth with weapons. It's just to make it more costly to invade than not. Take a page from Ukraine's book. I mean, how costly have they made it for Russia to invade? So costly. I think that if Russia had a way to pull out of Ukraine, it would have done so by now. And most of their defense is not weapons on the ground, it's drones. The world has changed, my friend. It's changed. Giving everybody guns is no longer a good idea. You're better off learning how to pilot a drone than fire a gun. Yeah, I mean, Russia's got, yeah, I think the last count of Russia is 750,000. It's getting up there. Like, the cost that Russia has borne is insane. It's absolutely insane. But the Marines just pulled into Cali. Yeah, what are they going to do? What's 700 Marines going to do against, you know, if 1 million people take to the streets? What are they going to do? Shoot fire on their own people? Mow them down with guns? Some of them might be their own families. What are they going to do? To be told to commit war crimes by firing on civilians? Are you out of your mind? I don't know why you would think Marines being called in against their own things. Yeah, being Australian means being able to walk home at 2 a.m. without needing to have mace in your purse. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you can wander out. Doesn't matter. Right? All of this fear-mongering, this fear, it means, you know, who has my family got to worry about from invading occupiers? Who have I got to worry about? they will do whatever they want with no resistance. I don't. You've got no idea of what Australia is like, what the people are like, what the thingo today in Gaza. Gaza was basically a part of Israel already. Gaza's electricity, its water was all controlled by Israel. It was basically an apartheid state of Israel. You don't understand the background behind that. Hamas was ostensibly the political chief in command of Gaza, but a lot of this stuff was controlled by Israel. And Australia isn't launching any terrorist attacks on our neighbors. Like, the whole thing started, I mean, it started years and years ago, but this current engagement started when Hamas did an attack on a peace festival over the border. Like, you can't compare the two. Like, Australia sitting there and going, okay, we'll try and get along with everybody, and Hamas going, we don't want to be an apartheid state, so we're going to launch a terrorist attack upon peaceful protesters that are actually on our side. It's ridiculous. How can you compare the two? Like, why should I be worried? Who should I be worried about? Because it certainly ain't Gaza, certainly ain't Israel. It's not Palestine that I should be worried about. All nations are imaginary. Okay, all right. So yeah, you still haven't said who I should be worried about invading Australia. Like, seriously, it's a very simple question. And who should you be worried about invading America? Like, you haven't answered these questions, and it's kind of telling that you haven't, because you can't think of anybody. I can't think of anybody. Honestly, I can't think of anybody that would want to, crazily enough, invade America and go up against their armed forces. It isn't the people with the guns that the thing that is preventing America from being invaded. It's the military. It's so far technologically ahead of everybody else. It's got way more power than any other. Like, it's got more power than the next 5 countries combined. Like, seriously, who is? It has nuclear weapons. It isn't some farmer with a gun that's keeping out the Ruskies. Come on now. I don't. Oh, Tibet. Yeah, no, sorry, I forgot. Tibet will spiritually invade. Yes. Right. Yes. Yeah, and that might be the right thing to do if you're under threat from invasion. But why you would have this thing is another thing completely. Please, no, tell me why. If you didn't, so you obviously, wow, okay, so you don't know about how this all started, where Ukraine gave up their nuclear weapons in exchange for protection. I think it's called the Budapest Accords. You can look it up for a bit of your information. That basically that Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons in exchange for protection. Sorry, the Budapest Memorandum. It was basically giving up their nuclear weapons in exchange for a promise of protection from Ukraine, Russia, the United States, and the United Kingdom. And there were other countries that promised their protection of Ukraine. So this was mostly facilitated by Ukraine giving up all the nuclear weapons that they had over from the Cold War, in order to get protection from all of these different countries, including the US, which it's kind of reneged on, or Trump has reneged on now because he's not, or he doesn't want to provide aid to Ukraine. And Russia certainly has. And Russia justifies this by saying that there was an sort of implied promise at the end of the Cold War that NATO wouldn't push eastwards. But unfortunately, Russia's been so aggressive that NATO has expanded because these countries, they're desperate. to get within NATO because Russia's just so aggressive. It's been aggressive for yeah. So yeah, calling people names isn't an actual argument. Like I noticed that when people run out of like rational arguments, they start throwing names around. So I'm just going to ignore you now because you don't seem to have anything to say. But do look up the Budapest Memorandum and what was exchanged in order to have it. Oh no, look, honestly, I don't think Israel is right. I think it's an incredibly complex situation. And like I didn't say that. I think Netanyahu is a fucking war criminal. I think he's a war criminal. The thing is that just because you say, hey, the Hamas did something that's horribly evil and, you know, taking civilians as hostages is not a good thing to do. It is horrendous, right? Doesn't mean that the other side exterminating and genociding a people out of their land is the right thing to do. Like, this is the thing. You've got to stop thinking black and white, with us or against us, right? Because what Netanyahu doing is absolutely disgusting, but that doesn't make what Hamas did as right. The problem is there's a whole load of Palestinian people who don't really have anything to do with Hamas. They have about as much to do with Hamas as I do with the Australian government, i.e. almost nothing, except that I happen to live here. They have almost nothing to do with it. They're being horribly exterminated. So no, I don't think Israel is right. I don't think Hamas is right. It's a horrible situation, and it's you know, supposedly supposed to be wrapped up in a few days by Trump, but you know, obviously it is a situation that's been going on for ages. Anyway, I'm going to get into the AIMBOT because I'm kind of, you know, sick of people throwing names at me because their arguments are terrible. I'm sorry, mate, but you know, if you got to say that, then yeah. And you know, so I am a consequentialist, right? So utilitarianism is my moral standpoint. So basically, we look at the reasonable outcomes for all of those things. Not a mate. You're not my mate. Okay, you're not my mate. Do you understand what Australians mean by mate? Do you understand that? Do you understand anything about us? I don't think so. So mate is a compliment. It's actually a compliment. It comes from nautical terms because basically we were a nautical nation from the British coming in, and we're surrounded by water. We're essentially an island. So a lot of these nautical terms have made it into our lexicon. Mate is somebody you use to describe a very seasoned shipmate, right? Like first mate, second mate, right? Like that is the origin of it. So when you're calling somebody a mate, you're basically saying that they are an equal, a very seasoned and you know, a seasoned seafarer. So it's more a term of respect than anything else. But if you want to, you know, if you want to say, hey, I'm a sissy for using something that has been, you know, part of my nation's lexicon, that's a mark of respect. Well, whew, wow. Oh boy, yeah, we got a live one on our hands, but that's okay. I mean, some people just want attention, I think. But let's get into the AIMBOT. I use secular humanism, which is a basically it's a science-based utilitarian based upon human well-being. So we can see if we can apply human well-being to the things that we're looking at. See if we can apply human well-being some ordinary everyday situations, and a lot of these are calling you a sissy about crying about being called a dumbass. No, I'm just saying you've got no arguments. That's why you have to resort to name calling. It's actually sort of you showing your weakness and your inability to have a rational conversation is basically what you're doing, which is hilarious because, you know, if you had a rational conversation, you would do a lot better in these things, but you don't. Okay, so these are not curated. I don't choose these out ahead of time. They are just consensual and solicited judgment of what you think is right and what you think is wrong. As I said, I base mine on secular humanism, but I do want to hear what you base yours on and why they are right and wrong, because there should be some sort of system of finding out what is right and what is wrong. Now, as a utility, I take human well-being. So if something is good for human well-being, then that is a good thing. If something is bad for human well-being, then that is a bad thing. It gets very nuanced and morality is complicated, but that essentially is where I go to it. Now, the problem with religion is all it's got is assertion of authority. It's got this thing be bad, but there's no real reason why. As we see from this thing about gun control, all of the benefits that my country has gotten, and they're still like, well, guns are good. But why? Why? That's the question. Why are they good? Because your God says so. Okay, because your constitution says so. Okay, that's not an answer. That's an assertion of authority. It doesn't actually give you a morality. You're just sort of repeating what somebody else said. Great. Let's see. First off the line, let's AIMBOT. Wow, that guy was terrible. Let's see. I got to present my screen too. That's a good idea. Boop. All right. First off, am I the arsehole? I was promised a financial gift from my dad, but he died before I got it. My sisters now say I shouldn't be able to claim it from the estate. Okay, so the question I first have just from that title is that, did he have that in his will or leave some other documentation? It's really easy to say, hey, my dad promised me something before he died. And, you know, I guess, oh, sorry, I should turn comments on. I'm sorry, everybody. I totally forgot about that. I kind of think it should be on by default. I wonder if there's a setting I can turn on by default. So with this, like, I think that, yeah, you're morally right. You can ask, but if they say, hey, there's no record of it, legally, I'm not sure what they should do. I don't, you know, when it comes to wills and estates, people can get pretty down and dirty. I mean, when my parents died, it was fairly straightforward. We just split everything up and it was all, you know, it was all fairly straightforward. But I don't, you know, some people can get very, very nasty when it comes to wills and estate, and it's really unfortunate. It really should just be whatever the person wanted. But that person, if they don't put it down, it's very hard to say, well, you have a right to this thing. Because, like I said, people do make stuff up. They do try to get more of the estate than they deserve. They do this stuff. So it's very hard to say. I think that well, let's see. If it was down in writing, absolutely is not the arsehole. I, female, 30, recently lost my dad. Yeah, it sucks. Yeah, I lost my dad, and it was sad. Yeah, I really do miss my dad. I think that you know, you don't know how much a part of their life they are until they're gone. And he was unexpected, so I really feel for this person. My sisters and I are due to receive some money from my dad's estate. I brought up with my mum that my younger sister, 27, received a financial gift from my dad last year to help her with the cost of driving lessons and the purchase of a car. Fair enough. I was told at the time I would get the same amount towards the cost of a car when I bought one. My mum told me to raise this with my sisters as they had both been given financial help from my dad with buying a car and I hadn't, due to not having started learning. I brought this up with them today and asked that I receive the money from the estate. They said it's not their fault that my dad passed away before I started to learn how to drive, and I don't have any claim to money as I was promised. I responded that it was unfair that they had both received the money and that I should be paid this out from his estate. They disagreed and said that I couldn't make claims to be owed this, with my older sister, 35. How old is she? 30, okay. And the younger sister is 27, saying that as she learnt to drive when she was 17, it was ridiculous to even bring this up. My sister was given a car and driving lessons as a gift when she turned 17. However, 5 years later, when I turned 17, my family was in financial difficulty and couldn't afford to do the same for me, so I didn't learn. I then went off to university, moved abroad, moved back to the UK, living in a big city, and always used public transport, so driving wasn't a priority. Yeah, fair enough. As I get older, I want to learn for when I have kids, hopefully in the next 5 years. This disagreement led to a huge argument and my older sister storming off and calling me names. This feels quite obvious to me, but they're of a very different opinion and it's causing rifts in our relationship. Am I the arsehole? Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think so. If your dad promised it to you, I don't think you're an arsehole for raising it. You might be an arsehole for getting into a massive disagreement about it, though. If you are getting paid out from the estate, I take it out of that. I don't see, like, I wouldn't die on this hill, quite frankly. I wouldn't die on this hill at all. Like, I think that, I think it is reasonable to sort of, ask the question, because usually there will be somebody who's put in charge of distributing the estate, right? There'll be an executor of some sort, and the executor will sort of they will execute the will to where it goes out to. If it's not specifically in the will, and the executor says, hey, there's no record of this, then, like, for instance, if your older sister is the executor, then it will be not morally right to keep bugging her and call her names and do all of that stuff. I don't know who would have done this, though, whether she and how much she is actually pestering them, because at the end of the day, I think that you've got to let some things go. And that's really hard, because if you had a promise from your dad that it meant a lot to you and nobody seems to see it, but other people may not see it the same way. So I wouldn't die on this hill, no. I don't think anyone's kind of the arsehole here. I don't think anyone is real. I think she has a fair enough to sort of ask. I think, sort of saying, hey, my dad told me this and I'd like to be able to take it out of the thing. I don't think that's a problem. But I think that sort of insisting on it in a large way. So it really depends on how much she insists on it. Because if she's going to destroy relationships for money, it's not a great idea. Like, looking at human well-being, your family and having a family is worth more to you than having a car, or at least if they're a good family, they should be. Maybe a bad family won't be, I get you, but it all depends on a whole load of factors. But I don't think this is a hill to die on. So I'm just going to do the thing. Poster was in the right. Poster was in the wrong. No one was. I'll just say everyone did the right thing. No one did the right thing. Okay. Sorry, I was looking up those stories. I was looking up those stories, and I do apologize if you don't like the presentations at the start where I just sort of talk about a bit of news and what's going on in my mind. Do let me know in the comments. Do let me know and I will. I might change it up. Maybe not. Maybe I won't. But if enough people say, "Hey, we hate you talking about this stuff at the start," go for it. I appreciate the feedback, if nothing else, and I certainly will take it on board. Um, I think it's important. I think it's important. Where is my screen with my thing on it? Yeah, don't forget to like the if you are having fun. If you are having fun. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna stop worrying about people coming on and telling me I can't have morality. I think that if morality is based upon sort of theistic or Christian ideals, I don't see why they never have answers to a lot of questions that I have. It's very interesting to me. But let me get this poll up and running, and um, is the poster right for insisting on payout from dad's estate? There is a lot to this one. I simply think I don't think anyone is in the wrong here. I just think that, if somebody's insisting on it, sometimes you just, it's not worth the juice isn't worth the squeeze, quite frankly. Sometimes the juice is just not worth the squeeze. Like you can jump up and down and you can be in the right, and something could be promised to you. You don't have any kind of record of it, and you've got to let it go. How much are you going to spend chasing something instead of going out and living your life? um, how much you're going to ostracize your family, um, to get a short term thing. What's it? I just don't see the point. Like, get on with things. Live your life. Enjoy. Look, when they did a study of people in palliative care, and they basically questioned all of these people, like in palliative care, so they were basically dying and being taken care of while they died, and asked them, what is the way, like, what do you regret, what do you wish you did more of in your life? None of it was like, I wish I had more money, I wish I chased more of this stuff. A lot of it was just, I wish I had more time with my family, I wish I saw my friends more, I wish I enjoyed life more, I wish I that's what people want when they are leaving life, not temporary stuff. And I get that finances are important. Don't get me wrong, I get that. But if you're getting an estate, do you really want to die on this hill arguing with your family over what you should get? I personally don't think so. But that doesn't make them an asshole. Like, don't get me wrong. I just think they're not morally bankrupt. I just don't think anyone's morally wrong here. I really don't. You're the asshole. Okay, St. Alvis from Reddit has definitely opinions. They say it's not their fault. My dad passed away before I started to learn how to drive, and I don't have any claim to the money I was promised. That's right. Ma'am, you're 30. What the fuck were you waiting? Okay, steady on, Reddit. Like, seriously, some people don't learn to drive till later, okay? Just, wow. All right. St. Alvis, don't be so judgmental. Seriously. I responded that it was unfair they'd both received the money and I should be paid out of his estate. No, it's unfair that your dad never updated his will to reflect the desire to set aside car money for you, but that's not their fault. Okay, so he's talking about legally. I'm not sure morally the same thing would apply. Legal and moral are two totally different things. It would be moral for that to happen, but at the same time, yeah, yeah. Cruel summer. Oh, great. I thought the last one was cruel. As my parents' estate executor, I legally cannot honor promises like that when dispersing estate funds. Right, and that may be the case in some countries, depending on some laws, that when you are an executor, you cannot disperse estate funds like that. You have to do it according to the will. Now, having said that, there's no reason why the sisters could not have given them a gift of this money in order to learn to drive. There's no reason why. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. ACLU would be a great thing to do if you do want to contribute, because they have done amazing work upholding people's civil rights. Absolutely. So the only way for me to honor something like this legally would be to give a personal gift, out of my share of the estate as being dispersed as per the directive, which also means I would incur tax liability for that amount. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't get tax liability. The person receiving the gift would get tax liability because they're the ones gaining that money. You don't get taxed for making a gift to someone. They get taxed. Well, I suppose it would be taxed in general then. What you're asking for may not be legally doable except as a personal gift from your sisters, and I don't blame them for not wanting to pay taxes on a large sum only to gift it for you. Oh, okay, so you're talking if like the estate has taxes? Okay, well, fair enough. You had over a decade to do this while your father was alive. You chose not to. Do you even have any proof of this promise, or is this, oh yeah, Dad totally promised me a large sum? Because unless this is in writing somewhere, I wouldn't be inclined to honor this either, unless my parents had spoken to me about it for this promise before they passed. Speak to an attorney. Be prepared to hear that your father's promises died with him legally, that your estate is bound by either the directive left behind by the deceased or local inheritance laws, and that your sisters have a right to refuse to grant you a personal gift simply on your claims that you have promised money. Yeah, and as I said, people, you would hope that nobody would lie about their dad promising them something in order to get a larger share of the estate. Unfortunately, that's not the case. People have behaved awfully in the past and sort of made stuff up. I'm not saying that she did that, right? I'm not saying that she did that. But if all she's got is, hey, my dad told me once and you weren't privy to it, they can't be sure that's not the case. It's a tough situation. As I said, I don't think she's an arsehole. As long as she's telling the truth, I don't think she is. I don't think she's morally bankrupt, but if she continues to bug them on it, she may be, because they can't just take it as your word that this was the case, because people do think you're the arsehole. Well, yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think you're being an arsehole if you simply bring up something that you were promised by your father. I think that if you're being an arsehole about it, maybe, but maybe you are. That's the thing. Like maybe you are being horrible about it. But like I said, just let it go. Let it go. I don't know why. Fairy fart daydreams. Okay, well that's interesting. Yeah, I feel for you, Beck. It's always an ordeal, mate. It really is, especially when the will isn't thingo. Have you addressed the Ozian Matters now implosion? I haven't really. I can do so. I tell you what, I'll do so after this. You're the arsehole. You haven't learned to drive and you are 30. I'm sorry, that ship has sailed. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't think it's to do with the age. I really don't think so. I don't. If somebody wants to learn to drive when they're 60, I don't care. Well, what does that matter? Like the age doesn't really matter. If you're sort of saying, hey, I didn't get the same things that my sisters did. Well, I do agree that if your dad wanted that given out in the will, he should have put that in the will. Like, that's something that, it might have slipped his mind. It might be something he didn't think about again. It sucks, but, unfortunately you can't, sort of take that. It seems to me more based upon that your sisters got this than any kind of promise from your father. It seems to be, hey, my siblings got this. Well, yeah, it sucks, but sometimes that's the case. I'm really sorry. I will upvote it. Let's see what the people have to say. And I'll do some hellos. Majestic Beck is in the house. Good to see you. Pragmatic Crystal, so good to see you. Kalasia, awesome. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. I've never, I absolutely, absolutely, like saying like I'm a sissy for calling people mate and sort of doing this. Like seriously, what the hell? I'm Australian. We call people mate all the time, and I do like that it's like gender neutral. I can say to a pragmatic Crystal, how you doing, mate? And it's totally not a guy or a girl thing. It's just what we call people. Like just accept it. Be complimented. Be happy. It's just a thing. If I say mate to you, then I respect you, kind of sometimes. Unless I'm saying it sarcastically, and that's a whole another story. Waste to Human, AJ, welcome. Welcome, Sarah Quill. Yeah, it's like saying friend. It is like saying friend. Yeah. Yeah, it's like saying buddy. How you doing, buddy? How you doing, mate? It's same thing. Same thing, essentially. You did some good work on great work on debunking first. Well, after the final experiment, it kind of is, I think flat Earth is pretty much over, isn't it? I mean, or at least I hope so. At least I hope so. Notice me, senpai. I notice you all the time. I notice you. I cannot not notice you, Jedi. I don't know why. Melted ice cream. Love chocolate chip. Well, who doesn't? Come on now. Majestic Beck says, my driver's permit expired when I was 21. I'm 53 and have never renewed. Look, sometimes it's hard to do that, Beck. I get that if you're living in like a rural area, like it's really hard to rely on public transport and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. But if you can, hey, that's great. It's really, good for the environment that you're taking buses and things. It's better for the environment. It's better for everybody. Totally respect it. I know people that cycle everywhere and hey, good on them. If you ever go to the Netherlands and go to Amsterdam, there's like no cars, like none. Everybody bicycles everywhere, and they have a bicycle lane for bicycles that pedestrians should get the hell out of. Like, trust me, you only walk in a bike lane once in Amsterdam, and people yell at you, and you realize, oh, they take that seriously. Like, it's not a bicycle/walking lane; it is just for bicycles. I mean, they've got their problems, but as far as their infrastructure concerned, they get around just fine, and it's incredible. And they've got trams as well, like electric trams that are amazing. They do really well. So totally get it. Very few people in the Netherlands actually own cars. Very, very few. It's really good to see. Andrew says, I've never seen eye to eye with my dad, and I don't know if I'll be sad when he passes. I've tried mending bridges in the past, but he is so arrogant unless he felt the bigger person. Right. I think my relationship with my dad was complicated. I think that I've sort of made peace with a lot of it. He was very distant, but at the same time, he was always there if I needed him, just not emotionally, which is fine. Like that, he was a product of his time. And I think that I've forgiven a lot and sort of come to terms with that and taken all of the good lessons that he gave rather than, the sort of standoffishness and sort of, stuff. But, I must admit there was issues with what he did, but, on the whole, I've made made peace with my father. He wouldn't take the olive branch. I don't know how I felt. It might just another day. It depends. It's up. That all depends on you, my friend. I think it will affect you. Maybe it won't affect you even that much, but it, definitely will affect you. I don't think there's a sort of a way around that. And I think whatever you feel is completely valid. That is valid. because you're the person in this relationship. But I think that with your parents, they try their best. They're going to make mistakes. I try to see the good that they try to show you, without taking on board the stuff that, because parents inevitably screw their children up. You take the good and leave behind the bad, and that's all you can really do. But yeah, I hear you, Andrew, and I'm sorry to hear that, mate. Jessica says, living in the city is great. Plenty of public transport all around. I've never need to get a license, let alone buy a car. Yeah, but you get to rural Australia and you can't live without a car. My wife sort of lived in a sort of ruralish area, sort of a town area, and it's really hard to function without a car because there's just not that infrastructure around. Yu says, yup, arsehole, bad hill to die on, nothing tangible to support promise. Yeah, it is a bad hill to die on. It's just one of those things that you can't even back yourself up with anything, really. It's wild, right? Like, how are you going to enforce this? And that person in the Reddit chat had a perfect point with the executor of the will. They can't just decide to give out something from the will to somebody, even if they are a family member. The executor can't legally do that. So it's totally understandable why they wouldn't want to, and sort of, are relying on you being honest about your dad promising this when it doesn't seem like he promised it. It seems to be based upon, hey, my sister's got it, so why didn't I? So yeah, I mean, I don't think they're the arsehole, but I think that if they keep it up, they might be. Absolutely. Give me one sec. Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear you, Andrew. I'm sorry, mate. I really feel for you because I did have a contentious relationship with my dad, but I think as I got older and moved out, I just said, hey, he's going to be how he's always going to be, and just accept it. Just accept that. There's like, try and find all the good things that he said, while letting go of all the nonsense. It's not about forgiving your dad. It's more about getting on with your own life and shaping it into what you want it to be. Just letting all of that bullshit go, because it doesn't help. But I can't speak for you. I can only speak for me. I have owned vehicles, a 47 passenger school bus. Wow. Okay. Chevy pickup, didn't drive much, always biked and walked. Yeah, I mean, I like walking. I'm not a big fan of biking, but I do like walking. I look down on my father, but that comes too much. Okay. Honor dad's wishes, I think. Well, yeah, if you can, but like, if, as the person in Reddit pointed out, if the executor sees the will and it doesn't have that in it, they're not allowed to do it. That's just the way it works, like, the executor is there to execute the will, not what other people decide. No, don't stop. I like you sharing your mind. Oh, thank you. That is not a sound moral system. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but hey, Left-Hand Joe says, Mark, these people think that people and the world is broken, and we start off with a deficit. Screw that. Be kind. Yeah. Jessica says, I just wish when random strangers come into the chat, they had something interesting to say, not all the same boring stuff you can find anywhere on the internet. Yeah, and it's really interesting that, they'll come in, they will tell you that you have no moral system. When you start presenting reasonable arguments, they'll just call you names and carry on and viciously try to hurt you. And it's like, shouldn't you be turning the other cheek about now, or something like that? Like, you basically told me I don't have morals, and then behaved in a completely immoral place, especially you're considering you're in somebody else's house. You've come into my place and done all of this. Like, it's so weird that they behave like this. I don't behave like this when I go into a Christian channel, right? So, and then they tell you you don't have morals. Incredible. Like, just incredible. yeah, it basically is. It basically is. I mean, AIMBOT is all about applying, well, in my case, secular humanism to or everyday situations. So, hey, yeah, I will get to that. I got to bookmark that. Hello, fellow mates. Hi, Ralph. Good to see you. Good to see you. Cycling, yeah. Well, cycling, it actually amazes me because people are like, oh, but nature is so efficient and you can't explain that, can you, atheist? And it's like, wait, cycling is the most efficient energy transfer that we have. Like the bicycle is actually like 99 point something efficient in energy. Like it's way, wheels and that are way more efficient than legs. So why hasn't nature come up with wheels? If it is like, you know, this amazing thing, because in nature, good enough is the thing. It's just, if that is good enough to let you survive, then that's good enough. Doesn't matter. Don't poop on the welcome mat. Absolutely. And hello, Sterling Nash. I apologize for being that uninteresting rando. Were you trolling? Because like you can absolutely troll me. I always fall for it. I think it's because I'm on the spectrum. I'll just believe it. But hey, okay. So Ozian and Matters now. I absolutely support Max. So what basically happened was that Ozian told everybody, absolutely everybody, that he was going away overseas to do some work. And because it was in a really rural area, he wouldn't be able to get on the internet, basically, which in hindsight seems a bit weird, because even if you're working in a remote area, you can get to like an internet cafe occasionally, you know, to make an appearance. So Max essentially took over his channel for over a year. It's probably been like a year and a half. I'm not sure how long it's been. Max has always been doing Matters now. And he's done a fantastic job. I like Max. He's a friend of mine. He's been doing it for a while now. What's come out now that Ozian has apparently returned, ostensibly returned, is that he wasn't away working at all. He wasn't away rural working. He was actually in prison. That's what's come out now, according to Max. And he has sent me something that shows that the reason why he was in prison was that he'd been caught up in a sting operation by the police for trying to solicit prostitution from a 15-year-old. Okay, now there's no real 15-year-old involved, but you know, the police were doing a sting operation. So I feel very betrayed by this, because I 100% believed him that he was going away to work, and I just thought, yeah, that's, you know, Ozian's fine. It's absolutely reprehensible what's happened, and I really feel for Max, because Max basically said, well, I've been running the channel all this time under false pretenses, because Max didn't know either. Like, you know, I think you should just transfer the channel to me, because under your, you know, you cannot run it, you know, with having lied to the entire community. And I have to agree, he really did just outright lie to the entire community. And poor Max was basically yeeted out of the entire channel, which I think is so bad, because Max has been working so hard on that channel and, you know, really, you know, basically trying to make it work with absolutely no input from Ozian. And, you know, I think that now that I'm looking back at it in sort of that hindsight, I'm like, well, yeah, of course he wasn't working rurally and you know, just getting um um you know, bad internet service, because you can always make it to an internet cafe, or you know, when you go back to your home on holiday or something, you know, you can always find internet somewhere. I refuse to think that someone is so rural for over a year that they'll never be able to find internet. But um you know, that's hindsight. You know, I really didn't think about it at all. And I actually asked Max, like, where is Ozian? What's happening? And he's like, remember he was going away? And I'm like, yeah, but I haven't seen him at all. It seemed a bit weird, but you know, I didn't think a lot about it. And now that I'm looking back, I'm like, that makes sense, that he was in a place that you don't get internet access at all. You're not allowed to. That he was in prison. That makes a lot of sense. So I am 100% supporting Max. I am upset that I was lied to by Ozian. I think that he is that is reprehensible to tell the community that. I don't know. Yeah, and that's what I mean, Sterling. Now that I look back at it, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, but at the time, you know, I didn't really think about it. You know, there's no reason to think someone would lie about something like that. Like, why would someone lie about something like that? I don't know. Looks like the verdict is no one did the right thing. So, okay, totally opposite of what I think. All right, that's cool. But yeah, what's my opinion of it? Where do I stand? I want to support Max because he has always been working hard and doing the right thing. And I think Ozian, like I've looked at his channel and the Matters Now channel, and it basically says it's under new management, which is not exactly true. It's old management. But it sort of says it'll be producing AI inspired stuff, which I presume is going to mean he's gonna start producing AI schlock. Is really what I think is going to happen. So, you know, all of that's really disappointing. I'm upset that I've been lied to. I think that people, if you are sub to Matters Now, you should consider whether you do want to support someone like that. You know, they used to do amazing after shows and stuff, all the after shows for MDD, but do we really want to support somebody like that who's basically lied to us? And I don't want to. I unsubscribed, gone away, and yeah, I don't thing. Well, you know, Beck, you know, at least a real 15-year-old wasn't involved. It was a police sting. But at the same time, it does occur to me, how many times has this happened? And is this just the first time he's been caught? Which is disgusting. And, you know, I think, yeah. Yeah, Max has got his own channel. Let me find the channel that Max has got, because I did say I really want to support him because he really has been working hard, doing all of the after shows, doing all of the shows, basically just running the channel while some really reprehensible PDF file lies to him about why he can't run the channel. Really, really nasty. So he's got a new channel under Sherba Mate. I've been told it's pronounced. The Australian in me called it Yerba Mate. You don't know the channel? You're unfamiliar with Matters Now? Matters Now was a channel that did yeah, AJ, thank you. I got the link. I found the link. So if you do want Matters Now, go and subscribe to that one because it's essentially the same. It's Max doing his thing, doing the after shows. It's an Argentine drink. Yeah, but when I see it, it's just yerba mate. Yeah, yerba mate. It says Sherba Mate. Yerba mate. I think it's yerba mate is how it's pronounced. So yeah, it's an Argentinian drink. Apparently so. Yeah, so Max is Argentinian. He's had a real knock. You know, he needs the community support. So if you do like debate, like me, if you do like after shows talking about it, you can go on, you can discuss it with them. I want to support that because hey, I've gone on. I've talked about, you know, debates that have happened afterwards. He's doing it with Isa, who is a friend of the channel, who is a Muslim, and Dr. J, who's a Christian. So it's sort of a Christian, a Muslim guy, and a atheist, all sort of doing it together and discussing these debates after they've happened. So yeah, Sherba mate. But that's okay. It's a good time. So I highly encourage and get Max up and running because he's done a holy trinity. Yeah, apparently so. It's amazing to see all the different perspectives, and they try to be pretty neutral, except to maybe the flat earthers. But you know, that's fair enough in my opinion. Because none of them think that the earth is flat. I don't know who does, but holy crap. But yeah, that's my opinion of it. I think Max is fantastic. He's tried his best under difficult circumstances, and Ozian sucks. Like, he sucks. Why would you lie to the community like that? They're gonna find out. You know, Max found out. It's just, horrible. Considering the amount of work that Max has done, it's horrible. Yeah. So. But I'm upset I got lied to, because that's what I was told by Ozian as well. That's what I was told by him, that he was going away to do all of this stuff. Absolutely horrible. Horrible. Actually, that reminds me, and I gotta get off all of his Discord servers and stuff. But yeah, I absolutely condemn that kind of thing. If you can't be honest with your community, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Because he probably knew that people would not go to his channel if he told the truth. Well, you may be right, but that's where it's time to say, hey, this has happened and I'm passing it over to Max and getting out of it. Like, that's the right thing to do. Because, you know, if he just told everybody the truth, people would have deserted his channel. And rightly so, let's face it. Why wouldn't you? Because holy crap, that's disgusting. But he lied. Not the right thing to do. Anyway, that's my opinion of it. You know, feel free to disagree. That's fine. I don't care. I just want Max's am I the asshole? I kept laughing at the deaths in Final Destination? Okay, that's weird. Okay. I kept laughing at the deaths in... Why would that be? Okay, I've got to read this now. But yeah, that's my opinion. That's where I sit. I want to support Max because more that it upsets me and disgusts me that Ozian lied to everybody and did this. What really upsets me is that Max has poured his absolute heart into this channel, and he got booted out for simply finding out the truth and sort of bringing it up with him. Time Traveler Raid. Oh, the Time Travelers. Welcome. Good to see you. I was just addressing drama, but I have put that to bed. I have... So yeah, that's basically it. Max is awesome. Ozian sucks, and that's where I stand on it. But if you can support Max by maybe just dropping a sub, really appreciate it. He's a great guy. He tries so hard, and this is a real blow for somebody that has put so much work in. But very good to see you, Time Travelers. I would have been over there. I did a short bit on the LA riots. I did see Nick was streaming on it, and I really do want to watch it. So no spoilers, Time Travelers. No spoilers, because well, you can spoil it. It's fine. But yeah, I know that Nick would be covering this, and I can imagine how amazingly bad this is. And quite frankly, we're all outraged over here that an Australian reporter was shot with a rubber bullet. I mean, she's fine. She doesn't give a crap, but, you know, we are. Yeah, he's always been a bit temperamental, but you know, this is a shock to everybody. Like I knew Ozian could have some things that he did that were pretty bad, but this is something else entirely. This is terrible. Sort of lying to the entire community and saying that you're going overseas when you're going to prison for a child-related crime is a shock. I didn't think he was that bad. He is that bad. Yes, that he sucks. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you, Titan, and you know that you have a lot more cynicism, and you know, I'm not great at reading people. Not great at reading. Oh, thank you, Kat. Appreciate it. But back to the aimbot. So look, that's the last I'll say on it. Okay, I wish I had more of a sense of things. Yeah, I wish I was better at that kind of stuff. But I really, you know, being on the autism spectrum, I don't really have an innate reading of people good or bad or right or wrong or things like that. I have to use my brain a lot. I have to analyze things. You know, people will say, "Hey, you know, I just didn't have a good feeling about them," and I don't know if I've ever experienced that. I think maybe I have, but I certainly don't as much as other people, and I certainly don't. I really analyze their behaviors and things like that, and I must admit, people fool me all the time. People troll me all the time. That's okay. I mean, you can troll a person on the autism spectrum. Congratulations. Well done for you. But, you know, I don't pick up a lot of this stuff. And it's a challenge in life sometimes. You know, that's why Titan has to tell me, hey, this person, don't go near them. And, hey, Steve McRae is not a great person. Don't involve yourself with him. That's why I need people like Titan to say, hey, are you sure about this? And I'm like, I'm never sure about anything, Titan. But that's why I need you around, mate. And I really appreciate everything you've done for me. I really do, my friend. Titan, our head moderator, round of applause for Titan, who tries to keep me out of trouble against my best efforts for what, over a year now, and has mixed success. But that's definitely not Titan's fault. That's definitely my fault. Just, you're a sweet summer child. Look, I'm Australian, all right. So how Australians are described as a sweet summer child. Anyway, okay. So this am I morally bankrupt? And Colleen. Now I don't care if this is a spoiler. This is too good. Am I the asshole? I kept laughing at the deaths in Final Destination. Absolutely not. Like, just from the title, look, Final Destination's one of these. Why has it got spoilers all over it? Come on now. Maybe because it'll spoil Final Look, if you haven't seen Final Destination by now, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think you're spoiling it for anybody. Like, come on. It's like when you laugh at those schlocky films, like Final Destination isn't exactly a work of art, in my opinion. I'm sorry if you're offended by that, but it's not exactly high art or anything. It's not exactly your, you know, Pan's Labyrinth or your, you know, something with an incredibly important message to say. Like it's just a it's just a you know, it's one of those schlocky horror movies kind of thing. I mean, it's good, but you know, I might laugh at some of the deaths as well. Like, especially in horror movies. That's why parodies exist, because some of them can be hilarious, right? Like, I'm really sorry, it's not real. Okay, so I, 28 male, went to the new Final Destination with my girlfriend, 29 female. and kept laughing because the deaths were so over the top. I think that's fair enough. I think some of them are over the top. Yeah, I may not laugh. I might go, ooh, ouch, that must have hurt, but not like if someone laughed beside me, I'd be like, yeah, okay, fair enough. She told me to stop laughing because it's a horror film and not a comedy. Oh, come on. There's a fine line between the two, quite frankly. I mean, have you ever seen Cabin in the Woods? That is a horror film and hilarious. It's actually hilarious. Come on. Come on. Cabin in the Woods, there's what was the one I was talking to my wife about, which was Dale and Tucker versus Evil, is kind of a horror film but hilarious, like, and there's something about those B-grade horror films which are funny. Like my wife and I, we went down to a place called Margaret River. Lovely place, just gorgeous, lovely little town next to a river that heads out into the beach. Just a wonderful place to have a holiday. We went down there for a holiday, stayed in like a bed and breakfast that was an ex-convent, right? Like it was an old sort of, not a convent, but a nun's sort of barracks kind of thing. So we watched The Nun, like this horror movie, The Nun, because we're sitting there in like a nun's cloister or whatever they call it. It's like a sleeping spot for nuns that had been converted into a bed and breakfast. So we had to watch The Nun, okay? And that was hilarious. That was so funny. It was supposed to be a serious horror movie, but we found it hilarious because it was so bad. Like those B-grade, schlocky, horrible horror movies can be hilarious. I get it. And Final Destination, I get it. Shaun Top Live because it's a horror film, not a comedy. Yeah, Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cornetto Trilogy. I'm right there with you. She told me to stop laughing because it's a horror film, not a comedy. I could not help it. I was laughing so hard at the first death sequence. I just found the whole Goldbergian chain of events. Goldbergian. Does he mean what is it? Ruberg change of events? It's like okay. So Goldbergian is contrived with inept and excessive intricacy. Okay. Oh, it's Rube Goldberg. Yeah. Is that Goldbergian? A Rube Goldberg machine? Yeah. Yeah, like one thing sets off another one, which sets off another thing, which it's like what's that game, Mousetrap, that you have all of these things. Like, yeah. I didn't know it was called Goldbergian, but hey, I've learned something. The Rube Goldberg machine. Yeah. Chain events that caused said death to be hilarious. I was the only person laughing in the theater. Oh, come on. She was not happy and was pissed off on the way home. She said I ruined the whole tone of the film. I tried to stifle my laughter and some of the deaths I didn't find funny, so I didn't laugh during them. But when a funny death did happen, I couldn't help but laugh. Am I the arsehole? No, absolutely not. I don't think so anyway. I mean, look, some of those deaths are hilarious, and that's why these films exist, which are supposed to be sort of hilarious deaths kind of thing. It isn't real. Like, people have got to, like, I get that you've gone to a horror movie in order to get that thrill of being scared, and if someone's laughing, it kind of ruins it. I get that. But at the same time, if you're there for a serious horror movie, why Final Destination? Like, seriously, I don't, like, why? I don't think you should be going. Was the poster right or wrong for laughing at deaths in Final Destination? I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's perfectly fine. I think he's perfectly fine. Like, you can't. I would appreciate that sense of humor. Like, they're just so over the top. Yeah, they are. That's part of the thing. I thought that was part of the whole thing of Final Destination, that deaths were completely over the top. Like, I thought, that was the whole issue. I don't think that the poster did anything wrong whatsoever. Like, okay, he's got a dark sense of humor. Big deal. I don't know. Yeah, no, if you wanna no, I agree. I agree, Jedi. If you wanna see a scary movie, go see The Exorcist. Oh, if you wanna go like I thought, because I've seen a lot of scary movies. I quite like scary movies. I quite like the whole horror genre. Um, I do quite like the whole horror genre. I thought that I was pretty much immune to scary movies. Like I was actually kind of sad. I thought The Ring was pretty creepy, and I kind of liked it. But that was sort of the scariest thing I've seen for a while. I thought that jump scares are kind of overdone and just boring kind of thing. I much preferred Japanese horror, which was sort of like The Ring. You're caught in this situation that there's no way out from. I liked that more than the American style jump scares that they seem to be going for. It didn't really get me. Um, yeah, and the Alien movie is excellent for just that reason. It's because they're trapped. It's not so much the jump scares that is the reason why that's so scary. It's that they're trapped on the ship and you can't get out. That's the great thing. Psychological thrillers, not so much. It depends on what they're about, to be honest with you. Not so much. I do like I like supernatural stuff and things like that. But I saw this movie not recently, but a few years ago, that absolutely was so frightening. It was called Hereditary. And I just went, okay, now I've seen something scary. That was frightening, so frightening, right? Like incredibly frightening. Hereditary, if you want to see something scary, and disturbing. It really is disturbing. See Hereditary. It blows me away. Toni Collette's performance is insanely good, like insanely good. No, straight up, I absolutely loved Hereditary for just how frightening it was. So frightening, so frightening. Yeah, no, it is insanely frightening. Oh. No, that's fair, Sterling. It's like life has gotten so scary. Seeing a horror movie is kind of a thing. Oh, dude, see Hereditary. See Hereditary with the lights off. Enjoy, enjoy. Let's see what the Redditors have to say while you guys are voting for what you think is right and wrong. Glittery Warlock who says, if you're in the cinemas and laughing loud enough to bother others, then you're the arsehole. Well, it didn't say that it bothered others. It just said it would bother her wife because she was trying to find it scary. I'm not sure if laughter is drowning out the movies. Well, I mean, it didn't say that, did it? It didn't say it was drowning out in the movies. It just said he was laughing. Couldn't stop laughing. I think that they're really assuming. Yeah, and that's Artira Rainbow says how loud we are laughing. There's a difference between quietly laughing in a way that makes only someone next to you can hear and cackling so loudly you ruin the experience for everyone in the room. Laughing at a black comedy does not ruin the experience of the film. OP and his girlfriend were attending a horror comedy. Is Final Destination a horror comedy? I'm not so sure it is. Is it supposed to be a horror comedy? What? There has been plenty of horror movies that I've gotten a laugh out of, mostly because they weren't supposed to be funny. It incorporates elements of comedy, darkly humorous. Okay, so it is darkly humorous. Apparently, according to the Google AI, it is darkly humorous. So I think that is thing with deliberately goofy kills and not some tense psychological horror. Yeah, okay, that's fair. OP laughed at a series of intentionally funny moments, and OP's girlfriend got mad because she, not OP, misread the tone of the film. I will agree to that. Like, some of them are absolutely absurd and deliberately so. I kind of do agree with that. I kind of do. Not the arsehole. I haven't seen the latest one, but across the series as a whole, the idea that Final Destination isn't funny is complete nonsense. Yeah, a lot of people agree. It's not full-on comedy, but it's absolutely got a sense of humor. Unlike apparently your girlfriend. Okay, well, Reddit, just calm down. But yeah, I guess it's like the Evil Dead series. It's not overtly, except for the third one. What was the third one called? Oh God, Army of Darkness. But the Evil Dead 1 and 2, they were kind of horror, but they had this dark humor in it that wasn't overt. It was kind of an undertone. You know, like the zombie playing basketball, like doing the basketball tricks with its head kind of thing. It was just absurd, but it still was supposed to be scary kind of thing. So I don't know. Yeah. Everyone sucks here. If it's wrong to laugh at the ridiculous deaths in the Final Destination films, then I don't want to be right. That said, if you're laughing loud in the theater, that can for sure annoy people, especially if you're the only one doing it. So you're not entirely blameless here because you're definitely annoying at least one person and hurting your experience. You should maybe adopt the quiet chuckle for these sorts of situations. Okay, well, I mean, maybe. Well, it seems pretty divided on this one. I personally think that they've done nothing wrong, and but nothing leads me to believe that like everybody was being disturbed. I was laughing so hard at the first death sounds. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe he is disturbing other people. I don't know. Maybe. 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 If you're disturbing everybody in the theater, I guess so. But I don't think so. I mean, if you're like Final Destination, I would probably laugh at the deaths as well. I can't remember what my reaction was, but I think I mostly laughed as well because they were kind of really over the top. At least I chuckled. You know, maybe losing it is a bit of an exaggeration, but I don't think he's done anything wrong. It's weird. It's very, very weird. Very weird. Oh, like Meet the Feebles, that was just disgusting. That was a disgusting film. That was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Ugh. Yeah, but even in those films, Peter Jackson was always an excellent director. That's the thing. An excellent, excellent director. Hmm. Well, what do you guys think? They've never creeped you out? Fair enough. I don't know, like, I thought the same thing. Like, you know, horror movies just don't creep me out anymore. Um I think that Hereditary did it for me. Dale and Tucker is amazing. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Alan Tudyk is one of my favorite actors. He's so good. You also got in trouble when you couldn't stop laughing at Adam Driver being Kylo Ren when he took the helmet off. Yep. Fair enough. And I think that, you know, whatever your honest reaction is fine. You know, like I get people's reactions to things are not um are not um you know, they're not wrong. That's the thing. Like people can take different things from the same movie. I don't see it as being, oh, you're wrong for finding this funny when nobody else does. Maybe it is the absurdity of it. Maybe it is other things. Maybe it's like you've got a darker sense of humor. Is that wrong? I don't think so. I don't think you can say that's wrong. Yeah, yeah. I'm just sort of saying, Jess, that it seems to be for people like us, it's more cerebral than sort of intuitive of telling that. Um, if you want fun, watch William Shatner's The Devil's Rain. Okay. All right. Is that just hilariously bad? I've got a soft spot for hilariously bad movies. I really do. Um, I think that who was it? It was Red Letter Media did fantastic kind of best of the worst reviews with some of the worst films ever, and it's actually hilarious because they're so bad. That's why everybody loved The Room. It was such a bad film where people didn't talk like people. It was badly directed, badly shot, with terrible actors. Everything about it was absolutely terrible. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. It's just like, people do not talk like this. That is not how people talk. I haven't seen Freddy versus Jason. I never got into the Friday the 13th series. It never really appealed to me. One person once told me, "Oh, Hellraiser's really scary, and I'll show you a Hellraiser. Don't worry if you're scared," kind of thing. And it's like, oh, okay. And I fell asleep during that. I literally fell asleep. It was so boring, so boring. Goldberg's art was a comment on the nature of life. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's kind of a commentary on determinism. Things that seem random are actually determined. A comedy of terrors with Vincent Price, Basil Rathbone, Peter Lorre, an amazing cast. Sounds really old. I've never heard of it before. I haven't been scared in a movie since I was 8, and the T-Rex in Jurassic Park terrified me. Yeah, no, I get you. I think the last time I was scared in the movies was when I was like 13 and saw Aliens, and that was incredibly frightening. But try Hereditary. It is really, really scary. Yeah. Japanese horror. Watch The Audition. I've seen The Ring, the Japanese version, and Jun-On. I think it's Jun-On. The Grudge, in the Japanese version of The Grudge, is actually really good. The Western version, Ju-On, is not as good. Definitely not as good. Ju-On, which is The Grudge. Son loves The Thing. Yeah, I didn't find The Thing that scary. I really didn't. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong. The old. You're talking about the old Kurt Russell one, right? That was really good. That was really good. And it was like, the end was just so good. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen The Thing. It's like 80s, isn't it? 80s or early 90s. Kurt Russell, trapped in Antarctica kind of thing. Really good. And very good ending. Very good ending. Now it becomes a parody of itself, like Jason. Yeah, absolutely. Same way about thrillers, but not gore horror. Yeah, fair enough. I'm usually okay with crime shows. No, that's fair. I don't have a problem with blood and gore. It doesn't worry me in the slightest. But I mean, Lynn, she hates zombie stuff. I really like zombie movies, zombie, Last of Us, Walking Dead, all of that, zombie apocalypse stuff. I really like it. But Lynn absolutely hates it. She cannot stand zombie stuff. Yeah, true crime can be really scary. In fact, like, one of the scariest things that I saw was that Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey documentary about the Mormon offshoot cult that was established in America. Just it was so bad. Like, it was so bad. That was actually horrible. Actually horrible. There's something about those true crimes and true stories kind of thing. Like, I saw there was this thing on Amazon called Lore, and it started going into like the actual history of some of the things, like LORE, not law as in LAW, LORE. And like, one of the episodes, it went into like the history of prefrontal lobotomies, and I had to turn it off. It was so disturbing. It was just like, this actually happened in real life. Was just, oh, horrible, absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. You know, it went to the origin of where vampires probably came from, the origin of all this other stuff. But when it hit that, I was like, no, I can't. This is too real. This is too horrible. This is absolutely horrible. Love a good apocalypse movie? Yeah, me too. Love a good apocalypse movie. An apocalypse game. Yeah, absolutely. I gotcha. I gotcha. I think Fallout is just amazing. Like the way they've captured the game's darkly funny sort of atmosphere has been incredible. Love Fallout. It's an amazing game. Fallout 4 is great. Fallout 3 is great. Fallout New Vegas is great. But the series just captures that real dark humor, and it is incredibly dark, incredibly dark. And, you know, I love it. I think it's great. I think dark humor is fantastic. Little Monsters is a great zombie movie. Yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Let's do one more. I will do one more for the people. How did the poll turn out, may I ask? Poster was in the right. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Well, whoops. What happened? There we go. Okay. The state. Okay. Here's a good one. Good one. We did the estate one. Are they rearranged? Probably. Uh-oh. Laughed. Okay, we'll do the next one after this. I think it rearranged them. That's okay. That's okay. No big deal. Contentious Book of Eli. Yeah, that. Yeah, I don't know. Book of Eli. There's some. I mean, Gary Oldman does a fantastic job because it's Gary Oldman, and he always does a fantastic job. But it's kind of meh. Like it's just not that fantastic in my opinion. It had some problems, some massive problems. Yeah, I guess it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I don't know. I struggle. I won't do spoilers, but yeah, I didn't think it was great. Fallout 4 made me realize Bethesda is really bad at making games. Look, Fallout 4 had its problems. Definitely did. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. There were things in it that I thought were really good, like base building and modifying your weapons. Look, not a lot of people's cup of tea. Totally get it. I liked it. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the role-playing aspect was terrible. No, I gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah, and I'm mixed on it as well, except I loved that they add base building and craft. Like I'm really into survival crafting at the moment, so that's where I felt like it excelled. And yeah, you're absolutely right. The dialogues, the sort of the way that you progress, the choices weren't there. The speech that you had with people didn't make any sense. Like you just had sarcastic or optimistic, and then you did, oh well, I'll say the sarcastic thing, and it was something completely different. It was yeah. I think that was tragic to lose the real core role playing, but I did like the base building. That was a lot of fun for me. So yeah. No karma. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyway, Raspberry 2643. Am I the arsehole for questioning my fiance about a conversation? Well, maybe. Was it a private conversation? I mean, if it was a private conversation, why? Why? I don't know why. I was heading to bed and my fiance had been playing a game with a guy online, which is no big deal for me. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be. During the conversation, she is telling him about her period and that he was wanting to meet her with her privately at some golf place near our home. Well, I mean, your fiance can talk about her period all she wants with anybody. I don't see what the big deal is. It's hardly a romantic conversation. Let me tell you right now, talking about something like that is not I mean, he was wanting to meet her privately at some golf place near our home is a bit weird. I'd always be, it doesn't even matter if it's your fiance and a guy. It's meeting anybody from online gaming is always, I don't think it should be privately. If you do meet somebody from online gaming, you should probably do it, in public to start off with. I don't, I think that there's a lot of, like, I'm a gamer, right? I do gaming, and there's a lot of weird people in gaming. I'm probably one of them, let's face it. But, I'm sort of weird in a way that's not going to actually hurt anybody. But, there's some very strange people out there in the gaming community. So, in my mind, I didn't think it's appropriate. Well, the best thing is to talk to her about it. After she got off the game, I told her how I felt with the weird conversation, and she said that I was overreacting to it. I told her that she shouldn't be talking about that stuff with random guys online and then thinking it's okay for him to try and meet up with you. So I'm currently sleeping on the couch because I spoke up about it. Am I the asshole? Yeah, probably. So this is the thing. You're telling people what they should and shouldn't do. So it's not a very good idea to tell people, hey, you shouldn't do this, right? Or even yourself, you shouldn't, I think that it may be valid to be concerned about some random person from the gaming community meeting up with it. Okay, for him to try and meet up with you, that's a problem, right? So that's a problem because she doesn't have control over that. Okay, she does not have control over that. If some guy says, hey, I want to meet up with you privately, what control does she have over that? And it hasn't even said that she's accepting his invitation. I'm baffled, quite frankly. Anyway, I'll do the poll and see what you guys think. But I'm thinking, like, you don't have if she was actually going to meet him, I might say, hey, it makes me worried because, there's a lot of weird people in the gaming community. And, are you sure that this guy's okay or won't, is not a serial killer or something? Like, fair enough. You might be worried about it because I wouldn't suggest meeting up with anybody who you've just met online privately first, right? Like, that seems like a recipe for disaster. We teach kids not to do that. If you're going to meet somebody from the internet, meet them in public, not in private, right? That's a recipe for disaster. Should the poster have objected to an online conversation and meeting someone privately? Okay, but like, your girlfriend, like, if somebody goes to my wife and goes, hey, I want to meet up with you privately, she can't help that. What's she supposed to do about that? Go, how dare you offer to meet with private? If she just goes, no, I'm not interested, fair enough. But, like, she can't stop somebody from saying, hey, I want to meet up with you privately. It's weird. It's weird for you to say, hey, then thinking it's okay for him to try to meet up with you. What? So he wants to meet up with you, and what was the outcome of that? Was she actually meeting him privately? I mean, I think that's a dumb idea, but here's the thing. You can't control what other people do. All you can do is tell them, hey, it makes me feel worried when you're meeting a random guy you've never met before or just met online privately, because we don't really know, or I don't really know who he is. But you don't say, hey, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, that kind of thing. All you can tell them is how it makes you feel. Is it jealousy? Is that what it is? That you're worried about your fiance or whatever? it sounds like they're jealous or you know, is it that they're worried that this might be some kind of weird dude from online? Because that would be a valid worry, right? Like that would actually be a valid worry. And what's a golf place? What's a golf place? I don't understand. Like, is a golf place private? I don't know what that is. If it's like a golf club, for instance, that's not private, right? That's going to be in public. Like, there's going to be people around. So I don't, you know, I don't know. And if it upsets you, you've got to share that with her and say, hey, I don't, you know, it doesn't make me feel great to be left out of going to the golf place to, you know, because I would like to go with you. Is that what it is? Like, he hasn't actually said what the problem is here. It could be he's a guy from online that they don't know. Valid. It could be he's feeling threatened by some random dude online because they're discussing his girlfriend's period. And not really valid. I mean, just because she's doing that, he could feel left out because he's not being invited as well. That would be valid. Like, that would be a valid feeling. It depends on what his motivations are. But I think he is actually being an asshole because there's no suggestion in this that she's actually accepted. And if you're getting upset at your fiance being hit on, why? I don't get it. Like, is he suddenly gonna sweep her away from you? It's weird. It's very strange. If she can be swept away by some guy talking about periods and meeting her at a golf place, then you probably shouldn't be with her to begin with. Right? If that's going to turn her head, then you probably are best off without her in the first place. Honestly. Because if she isn't committed enough to you as a fiance that somebody can talk about her period and invite her to a golf place, and that can completely, you know, forfeit any kind of loyalty to you, well, why are you with her? Seriously. It's weird. I think he's just jealous, kind of thing. I think he's just jealous. But let's find out what the Redditors say. Not the arsehole. This is a fair boundary. Keep talking to get her to embrace your feelings and perspectives. Yeah, but talk less about what she should and shouldn't do and more about how it makes you feel and what you're going through. Like, you can't just say, hey, you shouldn't do this or should do that. What you can say is, hey, when you go ahead and do this, it makes me feel like X, Y, and Z. That's how it makes me feel. And that's how you get across your feelings. You can't just go, well, you shouldn't do that. No, that's telling someone what to do, not talking to them about how you feel. Auto mod. I don't know what that is. Auto mod. Is this like a brand new post? Oh, it's a brand new spanking post. Okay. And we've just got to not the arsehole. I don't know. I think he's being a bit of an arsehole. I think he's just insanely jealous and that, you know, he's really worried about her going and meeting with somebody else. Which may be valid, but not for the reason that, oh, she's going to suddenly, you know, stop being my fiance and stuff. I mean, come on. Let's be serious here. I'd hope that if she's your fiance, she sees more in you than just, you know, he talks about my period and he goes golfing. Maybe, but, you know, ugh. I don't know about this one. It's very strange. Has anyone got any opinions on this one? Yeah, that's correct. Yes, I totally agree with you. The Shaken Fist says, "Dunno, me and the missus discuss her period over candlelit dinners, looking wistfully into the middle distance and all that." Yeah, no, exactly. It's not exactly, you know. I mean, I don't know. We need a mixed map with a bunch of endless waste like New Vegas, but a huge ruined city like Fallout 3. What, and Fallout 4 didn't give that to you? I get, yeah. I get that was a mixed bag. I get you. Sterling Nash says, meet people in public and make sure people you're meeting, people know you're meeting somewhere where and when. You just can't trust everyone. You need to be smart. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, Sterling. Like, just meeting some rando you've met off the internet is a recipe for disaster. There's a reason why we tell kids not to do that. But, you know, when I don't know what a golf place is. Like, if you're talking like a deserted golf course in the middle of the night, yeah, I've got problems. If you're talking at a country club, then what, you know, it's not really privately. I get that it's a private establishment, it's a private club, but there's going to be people around. Yeah, I don't look, Bethesda, they've fallen so far. They've fallen far. I mean, I didn't even buy Starfield. I'm getting distracted with games, but yeah, I get you. Golf place is likely where people hit balls practice. Oh, I gotcha. One of those sort of driving range places. Okay. I think there'll be people around. I mean, it's not going to be a private liaison kind of thing. It's going to be pretty public. Even it's a private establishment, it's still, you know, if there's people around, then it's like going to a cafe. Yeah, technically it's a private establishment, but it's public. There's people around. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of. It wasn't a very long one. I will give you that, Tilting. I will give you that. Sure, it'd be fun to have more multiplayer groups to play within a Fallout world, but not 76. Look, okay, so yeah, I look. I absolutely think that if Bethesda can make multiplayer work, it would be fantastic. I mean, I've said this since Skyrim, right? Multiplayer Skyrim would be incredible, and it really took the modding community had to come up with it, not Bethesda, which is crazy, but not 76, right? So we're talking multiplayer, not massively multiplayer online, because that is too much. You know, yeah. Yeah, I get you. And No Man's Sky was really good. Like, okay, so first off, this post, it's kind of short, and I think there is so much information missing. Like, there's so much information missing about what he actually is the problem with it. So I don't think there's enough information here to say, but I kind of think that he is. I mean, I know the post says that he's not, but I kind of think he is, because it seems like me he is just jealous and just wants to stop her. And whether she does or not, look, your boundary might be, hey, I don't want you meeting up with guys, you know, that you've met on the internet. Okay, that's a boundary for you, but you can't stop her from doing it. So you then have to reconsider whether you want to presumably spend the rest of your life with this person when she's doing something that makes you feel bad. And if it makes you feel bad, you either have to address that and say, hey, it's an unreasonable, you know, jealousy that I'm feeling, or you've got to establish that boundary and stick by it. You can't just say, hey, you've got to stop doing that, because that doesn't work. But you can express how you feel. Saying Z in relation to, oh, okay. Think the old Doom game had a multiplayer mode. Yeah, but that's not the same. It's not an open world game. It's just, you know, No Man's Sky is the story of redemption. I know you think it's about space and exploration, but it's not. It's a story of redemption, of a gaming studio that promised all of these things and didn't deliver on it, and was absolutely excoriated. And yes, I will use that word. Is that even a real word? Excoriated by the gaming community, right? It was absolutely destroyed by the gaming community, who declared it the worst lies ever. And over the course of a few years, they implemented everything they promised and more. basically apologized, gone on with making it what they promised, and it worked. It worked. They actually did a comeback, and it used to be one of the worst reviewed games in history that became one of, like, they redeemed them up to being reviewed really well. Like, if you look at the Steam reviews, they were all awful, and then as they managed to fix it, they redeemed themselves completely. No Man's Sky is not a space game. It is a story of redemption and triumph in the face of adversity. No, but no, that's not totally like the guy that promised all the things. He did the wrong thing. He shouldn't have promised all of that stuff on launch. Look, the studio has their part to play as well. I get you, but you know, the developers definitely overpromised and oversold. That is 100% true. They should not have been saying that they were going to do all of this stuff. But yeah. But anyway, I'd love to know what you think about this last one, so I will go to it. I'm being distracted by Gaming Talk. Poster was in the right. I disagree. I think that he could have been, but you know, it depends on why he was saying it. I get, like, I don't think she was even meeting this guy. I think she just wanted her to stop being invited to meetings, which is just unreasonable in my opinion. It's just if she did accept this meeting by some rando in some private place, then yeah, I get why that would be a concern, and I don't think he's being an arsehole. But if she didn't agree to it, then who cares? Okay. Well, that is the last one I'm going to do. And I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I've really enjoyed myself. And thanks for everybody that's, you know, tuned in, stayed with me. Do give a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. I'll be back in a couple of days with Fundamentalist Fails. I think I found a really, really good one where somebody is sort of using really cool graphics to say nonsense, which is just always hilarious for me when the production value outweighs the substance of what they're saying. So that's Fundamentalist Fails on my Friday or Thursday night for those in Eastern states. On the 14th of June, there is a demonstration called No Kings in America. If you are in America, I recommend getting out there. Just because if the government doesn't want you to protest, there's probably something worth protesting. Whenever the government says, hey, this is trivial, you shouldn't protest, I'm out on the street. I'm 100% out on the street, because usually when they care enough to make the declaration, there's something worth protesting there. So yeah, I recommend it. And it's your right. You're actually working on your sign. Awesome, AJ. Awesome. And you know, I honestly wish I could protest with you. Like, I wish I could go over there and protest with you. I'm not even a citizen. And as soon as some politician says, oh, we're going to meet this protest with harsh and hard, you know, opposition, it's like, yeah, now I want to like, I wasn't interested before. Now that you're saying you want to stop it, yeah, I'm down. Like, come on. If you're saying you want to stop me protesting, that's a reason enough for me, quite frankly. But hey, best of luck. You guys are amazing. AJ, you know, stand together. You know, people united can never be defeated. If you guys stay together, there's nothing they can do, and that is being proven time and time again. So don't forget to be kind to yourself. If you want to laugh during a horror movie, and if you want to go out and protest, be kind to yourself and do what you know to be good for you. It's okay. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Don't feel like others' expectations should make you do anything that you want to do. I know that's easier said than done. That's a lot easier said than done. Hey, don't worry about other people's expectations. We all do. We absolutely all do. But try to be kind to yourself and say, hey, it's okay. I don't have to live up to other people's expectations. Be kind to others. Try not to expect too much. But if you have a right to do something, absolutely do it if you have that right. But anyway, do take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody. Take care.